Yo.
Welcome back to the Mark Our Words podcast, the official podcast of
Racist Tube.
What's good with you, Chen?
Life is good, man. Life is good.
Racist Tube is a crazy nickname. You know, we still upload on that platform.
You're right. And we have a black content. Hey, I'm with you. You too black.
You two black boys is out. Hello, key. I never liked that idea, by the way. But
I do. Put us on. Put us on. You too black.
Nah, I feel you. Me too. I actually was looking to be on there, to put us on there.
Wait, what?
No, like you actually can submit an application to be on. It's actually called YouTube Black Voices or something like that.
Yeah.
And I missed the application deadline by like a month and a half.
I thought you said you got invited. I was like,
no.
What were you upset?
That's two surprises. Dude, you know what would be funny?
What?
If I tell you they straight accepted us, they straight invited us, but I was like, no, we doing it the gully way. We are the real ones. Like, nah, we ain't going. You be so bad.
I'm like, yo, let's pull up the application.
No, we
was hacked.
We missed the deadline to submit.
Okay.
So maybe next year and things like that. Dude, you know what's crazy?
What's up?
I missed another deadline at my job. Whole time while I was working at my job, I've been working at this job for almost a year. I didn't know that they would pay for my internet. Like my boss emailed me and he was like, "Hey, Chris, I was wondering, me and Rochelle was going through something, and we noticed that you declined to have your internet paid for.
Somebody did that for you.
I am just interested in why, right?" And I was like, I didn't know nothing of this. I didn't know that was an option, right? He said, "Yeah, it's in like we have a website to where we clock in and stuff like that." And he said, "Yeah, it's over there." And I said, "Oh, can I sign up for it now? Like basically, can I sign up for it now?" He said, "You have to re-up in January." So basically, they have a January one where you sign up for it, and they have a July one that you sign up for.
But what if you get hired in October?
But that's what happened with me. I didn't know about it because I officially got hired, or rather switched positions, like the last week of December. So going into January, I ain't know nothing of the sort.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It wasn't until the summer we get so much emails. Like for example, once I'm off for the weekend, I come back, I got 250 emails. Now, only 50 of them is
really for
real emails because the job still goes on. So it probably got lost in the shuffle. But I'm happy he told me now.
That's crazy.
January, I am yes.
Yo, try to figure out if you can do that joint now.
Yeah, he said the deadline's gone, but I tried. But
yeah, talk to HR and say, "Hey, man."
Rochelle is HR, so, so I don't know. But other than that, my job is doing pretty good. How was your job?
All right. I'm gonna cue you for the surprise.
Thank you. Okay.
So I got a new job, man.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tell you
Hold
before
on.
the podcast.
Is this like a real job? A real new job or like a fake new job? Because you work a lot of jobs. Like I should remember one time you were selling meats or something like that.
What?
What? I'm sorry. I was just sorry.
Yo, I never sold my meat.
No. Nobody didn't sell your meat. It was Omaha meats. Omaha steaks. Ooh, I'm so happy you made it in life.
I was, Ryan. I was on the back of some white pickup van.
I ain't gonna happy. I'm happy about your life, bro.
Yeah, we had the beats and those styrofoam coolers with dry ice. We drove the Baltimore to West Virginia. It was hot as a bug.
Y'all lost 2 hours right there.
I was like, damn, this joint a little warm. Y'all sure y'all want this? Oh man. man.
And like, of course, y'all had like a list of people that already said like, we
we didn't have no list.
Oh.
It was really cold selling. Like,
Y'all
we
was
would
cold-
drive around
Wow.
these towns and be like, yo, we got the meats.
I RBC.
Like, like those kids in the 7-Eleven, and like, we got the grass out.
Nah, but since
man.
I know, cause this is the second go around. Yeah. Since I know your new job and things like that, what made you switch? Like basically, cause basically, like at your first job, you kind of got in on the ground floor a little bit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So in my eyes, I'm thinking like, oh, you said they basically view you as like a day one maybe. You get what I'm saying?
Nah, they do.
Especially since the company grew 100 times over and things like that. So like, what made you, especially near the end of the year? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting. I was planning to either leave. It was like last year though. I was planning to either leave in July, but then our company made like a major pivot. And I was like, all right, it's going a good place. It's going to a good place.
I think you said, yo, my job is fun again.
Yeah, this joint is lit. And then I was like, I'm not gonna stay here till I'm like 40 years old. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it till October, November,
or 30 at that. Even you barely made it.
October, November, because we were supposed to be finish up a major deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But then a friend hit me up. I went to an event, a black event, and I met a friend, an old friend. And she was telling me about opportunities at this particular company. And she was like, hey, I would like you to interview. I was like, I can't.
Please don't tell me this is not the black event you sent me the invite to.
I don't know, maybe.
The one down the street?
No.
Okay.
This one's in DC, but I want you to actually go to them.
Okay.
They have some good advice, especially since you're trying to get into the whole industry.
Okay.
You might meet some people that you could.
I gotta make time.
But yeah, she was like, yeah, I was like, I can't do it. Loyalty to my company. We trying to finish a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
This, that, third. Is it possible for you to wait a couple months? She's like, I mean, I would if it was like something personal, but I can't wait a couple months for another company.
That's crazy.
So I was like, okay, all right. Well, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity. She was like, hey, just interview. If you don't want to take it,
I like people like this. Like someone who won't allow you to say no. Like
she was like, just do the interview. If you don't want to do it after you get accepted, whatever. So I was like, all right. All right, I'm gonna do the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing the interview. I got through the first pass. It was cool. And the second one, I was like, man, I don't know, man. I don't think I got it.
Really?
I told my girl, I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen. A couple, like the next week, they would hit me up with an offer. I was like, oh, and plus it's a nice name on your resume. So I was like, oh. So I told my company, I was like, hey man, this is the first time.
This is the first time you ever had to.
I ever had to like, you're supposed to give a resignation letter.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
You didn't know?
I didn't know that.
Were you just going to leave?
I told them, hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks.
Were you just going to skedaddle?
No, I told my boss. I was like, hey, can I speak to you after?
You have to put an official resignation letter. Like actually, like go online and get a template or something like that.
Yeah, I did that afterwards. After my boss was like, hey, can you send the HR lady your official letter? I was like, oh, I thought that was for like when you get in trouble. And you try to save face, like I was like, I'm not in trouble. But yeah,
hold on, now slow down. When you was about to make that call to your boss, did you feel any anxiety? Because I know you said you kind of battle with anxiety every now and then.
Okay. I mean, because it was like, I don't know. There's a weird part. Like, damn, I'm letting the company down, or I'm letting the people that I work with down. Because we already like kind of short staff, so it's even worse. Because I'm a major player at this company.
Hey, I feel you.
So it's like, am I letting these people down? Now they, the people that I'm leaving behind, they're gonna be more stressed. So it was kind of weird. Like I was telling my girl, one thing me and my girl do every day is like we try to tell each other what's our highlight for the day. My highlight for that day was like tell my company I'm leaving.
Really?
I was about to go because funny story. We just interviewed at that, the company I'm working for now. I was part of an interview for another hire. And so we just finished that interview and finished the discussion about hiring that particular person. And then to tell my boss after we just interviewed somebody, hey, I'm actually going to leave. So now it's like, we just hired somebody and you leaving? So we not have to hire another person?
Mm-hmm.
It was like weird like that. But, I got it done. Talked to my therapist about it. She was like, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
I don't know what it is about. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to save it.
I don't know what it is that make you feel like, it make it seem like you were sneaking. Like, oh, I went behind y'all back, I interviewed and things like that. You're like, yo, I tried to say no. Like, the homegirl was telling me, like, at least, I really did. like, I said no a couple times. She said, what's the worst that can happen? Just interview.
Yeah. I mean, this is the worst that could happen for her and for them.
Do I know this person?
I don't think you ever met
Okay,
them.
I don't think I know.
Oh, I know you think.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm clueless on who this is.
Okay, no, I don't think you met them, but they cool people. So
This is lit. Like this is literally how networking happens. Like, like this is literally.
Time.
So other than that, like, are you like? Do you have to start going in the office, or do you?
Everything's remote. Since it's a Swedish, I think they're from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Swedish company.
Are you working weird hours now or something like that?
Nah,
okay.
So we got people so the headquarters in the U.S. is in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the pandemic and because it's an international company, they allow anybody to work from anywhere. So we got people in Ohio. The person that linked me with the job lives in Arlington. Just bought a new house in Arlington.
Really?
I know she's making crazy money.
Really?
I know it.
And dude, you know what's funny? The thing that's so great about this, like, when it comes down to you getting that offer, right? Just even when you was like, they sent me the offer sheet, you didn't even say like you try to play coy with them. You shouldn't even say like, yeah, I turned it down just so I can see what's going on.
I did.
Oh, you did really?
Yeah. But when they came back with an offer, I had a number in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went a little bit above that number.
Yeah.
And they came back with a number below the number I had in mind. I was like, oh, I'm not playing games. Like, I'm going to just do this one time, get a little boost, and that's it.
So basically, you are a true believer. This is going back to a couple episodes we did, like a while episodes we did, to where you truly believe, like, when it comes to an offer letter, you should really try to really put in your say.
What's the worst that can
Yeah,
happen?
like, because even somebody told me, actually, it was Nicole. She said when it comes to offer letter, like, even put like your vacation days and things like that, not just salary. 'Cause in my head, I'm like, I'm just gonna negotiate my salary, but some people negotiate everything and things like that, and it just seems so, I guess, scary in some ways, because even with my job, and they raised my pay, but in the interview process, they said the salary is non-negotiable, and I'm like, how? You know what I mean? Like, so like that made me kind of like scary to be like, hey, I kind of need more. But it's kind of like it's almost like they both playing coy, because you need a person, and I need pay. You get what I'm saying? But nah, I am legitimately happy for you. I wish you would have told me this before the podcast.
Nah. I was thinking about telling,
because I was like, yo, I'm really about to make this episode about this, but I'm not though.
No, we could. I mean,
it's just because it's like I'm just happy. It's like I have nothing else to add to it, but like I'm happy for you.
Well, one thing that so at that particular event that I went to, we was talking about, it was kind of like a free form, so everybody was just talking about their woes, and their ups and downs. And so one thing that they was talking about was like, when you get interviewed, they gonna ask you what you want for your salary. You never supposed to answer that question. But they did say, and in some places is they have to legally tell you. They did say, ask the company what's your budget for that position, which I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, because they give you a range. Like
I don't think I was hip either.
Yeah, there's a range, right? So they would give you, if you don't say anything, they would give you the lowest part of that range. So it might be like from 80 to 120. That's the budget for that position. And they might say, oh, 85K for you. But if you say, what's the range for that? It would, in some places, I don't think in Maryland is they have to legally tell you. But in some places, they have to say, oh, it's 80 to 120. Okay. That would put you in mind like, okay. I'm not taking the 85 if the range is from 80 to...
I'm not even taking 90. So
we got to talk about 110 to 115.
117.2, So.
We don't need the whole 120. I understand. I'm a reasonable man.
Yeah.
But, so that was one thing I learned. The other thing I learned in that event, which was, and something that I haven't done, because... And this one other thing that I ain't tell my company, I might tell them before I leave, is that I felt like I was stagnant. Last year, I wouldn't even got that raise if I didn't tell them I was leaving.
You told me that too, because you told me that the other job was willing to bring you in, and then you told your company, and then they gave you.
They gave me.
They're like, oh yeah, here.
At first, no, that's not what they say. They say, hey, I don't know, we have that in our budget, this, that, and third. I was like, all right. And then that's when my manager talked to me, and then the CEO talked to me, and it was like, what do you need? We're going to make it happen.
Really?
And so they bumped up the salary. But then I go to this meeting, I'm hearing everybody else's salary. I was like, wait, am I underpaid?
Now, question. Hold on. Now, that leads me to another point. Did they, at this meeting that you went to in D.C., right, is there a thing, or maybe you personally, about sharing salaries?
Some people would.
Okay.
So
okay, I'm talking about you personally. You ain't got to share it for the podcast, or not even to like people who not in your industry. I'm talking about, let's say if you was in that meeting at your job, the people who work in the same company, and they ask you like, what is your salary? Are you the type to be like, oh, my salary is this?
If somebody asks,
Okay.
So if somebody asks me like, what's your salary? I'll tell them, but they have to tell me. What you like it would be one. It would go like this. If they were like, "Hey, how much you making?" I'm like, "How much you making?"
Okay.
If they tell me, I tell them.
They be like, "You first."
Hey man,
they be like, "Thank you."
You ask me first. If you're gonna ask me, you gotta give me. You can't say, "Hey, what's your name?" and not tell me your name. Like,
so you're in this meeting, you're hearing people's salary. You're like, "Wait a minute." Even with your bump, you still like. I'm still like, under the tide a little bit.
I was thinking to myself, what if that never happened last year? I would still be even worse off. I was like, oh no. So, and so that's one thing I realized is like, maybe I am underpaid. And so, okay, this was the point. I felt like I was hitting a ceiling, like not a ceiling, but there was not enough growth career wise. I wasn't going up the ladder. And I was like, man, I've been here for about 3 years. I should be a little bit higher in the things I'm doing. But one thing that they told me about in this meeting is like, have like a bragging doc.
What's a bragging doc?
Which is like, you list all your accomplishments. Anytime somebody praise you.
Like acting like bragging.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anytime somebody praise you, screenshot, post in there. Anytime I said something, like you have a conversation and they say you did great work, write the date. Write what they said, post it, and tell them, why they was congratulating you or shouting you out. Anytime you do, like, you run a project or you did something that you thought was dope, put the date, put what you did, put it up there. And what you do is, when your evaluation comes, or when you talk to your manager, or when you want to have a
pay bump,
or a promotion, you send them the doc. And so one thing, because I think a lot of times, and this is my problem, a lot of times you put it on your manager to recognize your work.
Exactly.
But your manager is doing so many things. Your manager is in other meetings trying to negotiate. And then he or she got to deal with like firing people and,
just boring manager things. Yeah.
They don't got time to see what every little thing that somebody's saying about you. So this doc helps not only you be, look good in the favor of your manager, but also your manager to see, oh, these are things I didn't even know about. And so when you want to go and make your case, you have something to make your case. Me, I'm just doing my work. I'm like, okay, eventually they're gonna see my the work, the blood and sweat and tears that I'm putting in. So they're going,
especially since you was one of the first ones.
I'm like, they're going to see. But if I'm not advocating for myself, back to
a couple episodes ago.
Hey, I hope you guys are watching every episode.
Hopefully,
we dropping a lot of things that a lot of references.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I feel like we gonna be one of those podcasts, or we gonna look back at our podcast like, yo, we really dropped some hits back in the day. It don't have the numbers, but like, yo, these are some hits right here. Like,
hey man, it's kind of like Game of Thrones before season 8, and 7.
And I'm not watching House of Dragons. I'm sorry.
You're not?
No, I haven't seen one episode.
I haven't either.
I haven't seen one episode.
But
I don't plan on it.
George R. Martin is directing this.
I don't plan on watching it.
This guy.
You're not gonna fool me twice.
Hey man, I'm gonna wait till season 1 because I haven't heard anything. Nobody's talked about.
I heard some people talk about it. But but not because I searched for it, because they was talking about something else and they mentioned it like, oh, they're like you see House of Dragons, and my brother-in-law was like, he swears that I'm gonna watch it, and I'm like, you don't understand.
So nobody's saying it's good.
I wasn't a Game of Thrones fan. My friend put me on, and I caught up to it, and I end up loving it, probably more than him. You get what I'm saying? Just for it to disappoint me to the point that it did, I can't.
That's so sad.
If he never put me on, I would have never watched it, and I don't want to be led astray again. You get what I'm saying? But no, advocate for yourself. To your point.
Yeah.
And truth be told, that's kind of crazy, because you would think that a manager job, especially since they got the job or power rather to promote or to fire or to raise your pay in some instances, that you like, it should be their job to recognize me when I'm doing the work. Hell, the work, you won't see no incomplete code being done over here. You get what I'm saying? Like things are getting done on time, on deadline, and things like that. So somebody doing the work. You get what I'm saying? I feel you.
But the thing is, like, it's not even a manager thing. It's a human thing. Like, you're not built to respond to when things are going well. Like, I'm not like, oh, my floor didn't fall to pieces. I ain't fall through the floor today. Like, that's a good thing. Thank you, floor. Dude. The AC, is blowing cold air. Oh, thank you, AC. No, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But if something goes bad, that's when things are apparent.
Dude, you know what's funny? In relationships, with your girl or with my girl or with your girl or with your guy, whatever, right?
Yeah.
They say communication matters, but many times they're not. They only talking about that in the instance of bad things. Yeah. Like, basically, if something bothers you, it's best to speak up. Or like if something goes wrong or things like that, it's best to speak up. Don't let resentment build up. But communication really matters just as much when everything is good.
Yeah.
When things are perfect and things like that, and you be like, you know what? Thank you for breakfast.
Yeah.
Or thank you for doing this. Or things like that. Not only when communication shouldn't matter, when it bothers me when you do that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gets tiring when that's the only time when you communicate. It's kind of to your point. You got to put some good things into the, what do you call it? The good bank or
the emotional bank?
The emotional bank.
If you're going to withdraw, you got to deposit.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
If you're going to withdraw, you got to deposit.
If you're going to withdraw, you got to deposit.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like, and I think what people are learning, especially in management, is that you have to do that. Because you could correct your employees all day long, or the people underneath you all day long. But if you're not also encouraging people,
praising them sometimes,
they just gonna feel like, oh, it's me against you, or it's us against you. But you need that ebb and flow, and you don't want to be always praising somebody, especially if they're not doing a good job.
Exactly.
So it's like is that balance, right? But yeah, I think one thing is that manager gets stuck. It's like things are going well, cool. I could focus on something else. Versus like when things are going bad. Damn, I can't focus on this. I gotta now focus on fixing the issues that I'm having with my employees. I think that's what happens. So yeah, it was a lot of good things, and if I'm gonna shout them out. Black Code Collective, DC. If you guys into tech, you try and get into tech, and you're black, hey, hop over. They got a meetup on meetup.com. So yeah.
And that's where you met this person.
Well, I knew her prior. We worked together.
Okay. No, that's really lit. That's really lit. So when you send this document to your, I just figured out what you gonna do.
What's up?
You're a tricky. You tried to get over my head, but you're a tricky guy.
Okay.
Because it runs in your family, your real family, right? You're gonna do you're gonna leverage your play here.
What do you mean?
You're gonna leave the current company you at.
I'm not coming back.
Okay.
I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back.
But look, it worked for your family member.
It did.
It worked really good for your family member to be like, hey.
But you know what's funny about that?
What's up?
So when just backstory. So I have somebody in my family who I'm not gonna say what industry, but he was working for a particular company. And then he found out one of his coworkers were making a lot more than he was.
Same. It's almost the same villain arc with you. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
So that's why I'm like, you're a tricky guy. But go ahead.
And so, but it was within the same company. I don't know anybody's salary in my company. So
True.
Somebody might be making more. We might all be making the same. But this guy, no, not this guy. One of my family members. He found out that his coworkers were making more than him, and he was like, "Wait, either I forgot whether it was like we were doing the same amount of work or my family member was doing more work." Anyways, he was like, "Okay, cool. If this is the case, I'm gonna just go somewhere else." And so when he got the job, the people was like, "Wait, why are you leaving us?" He's like, "Cause y'all not paying me enough." The company was like, "We would have paid you. You just asked." So, well, I'm sorry. Already got the job. Already accepted the offer.
Yep.
So he worked at the other company for a while, and then the people he kept in touch with those people because they really liked him, and they gave him a higher position and more pay, and so he came back.
And you telling me this ain't the same villain arc?
It's not, because I already went down this road once, and they gave me something, and they was acting like, but they was acting like it was too much.
But hold on, it's different though.
And the thing is, you don't want them to be resentful. Like, oh, we paying you this much, you need to be doing this work. You don't want to get to that point.
You're like, no, I don't.
Yeah, you want them to feel like they paying you enough for the work that you're doing, versus like, oh, we're paying you too much.
Yeah.
So we expect you to, do more than what we expect you to do.
Yeah. Will you be doing almost the same thing at the new job that like you're doing?
No.
Something totally different?
Not something totally different, but it's not the same tech stack.
Is it the same
position? Yeah.
Language?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this a language you have to learn?
Kind of. I mean, I worked with it before.
Okay, so like how do you feel? Because sometimes you could be confident in the current job that you have. Like with me, I'm very confident in the current job that I have. But you know what I'm getting into and things like that. What I'm studying for and what I'm the career that I'm gonna break into down the line. There's kind of some anxiety I feel with like I feel confident when I know what I'm doing. Yes, you tell me at the interview or in the offer letter that I'm qualified to do the job. But I haven't done the job. I don't really know how to do the job at the moment. The moment, of course. So it's like, in a way, yes, you may have got a pay bump. Yes, you may even got a position bump for some people. But you kind of feel like I'm at the bottom, though. It's kind of like I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm sure there's a grace period of learning what to do. So, like, how do you approach in the next month or so when you, like, at your new job and you're like, okay, I'm kind of like the new kid on the block, if that makes sense. Or do that even matter for like someone your age at 30 years old or whatever?
So I think to answer your first question, like am I nervous about having to relearn a language or not being?
Yeah, because like you came a long way in coding and things like that. So in my opinion, just on the outside looking in, I'm thinking that you just do something that you like, oh, I've done this language for a long time. I know this language like the back of my hand. I'm only going to do this language. But for you to say like I dabble with this language, but I'm not really hip. Like,
yeah.
So like, what's the feeling of like actually going back into the lab and being like, because I should remember those Saturdays and things like that. I come over and you just coding, learning, doing problems and things like that.
I think, and I'm trying to put it into music terms for you to kind of understand. I think it's kind of like, let's say you play, let's say you play the keyboard.
I do play the keyboard.
Let's say you also play the grand piano. You did all those things.
Okay.
And let's say you dabble with jazz, you dabble with classical,
Mm-hmm.
you dabble with blues,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, okay, can you play rock? And it's like you did it before.
I did it before, but
it's not your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you did so many other types of music that's like, yeah, I can learn this too. And I can. Now this is a wild thing, but
Go ahead, say
play rock on organ. Yeah, why not?
Like, sure.
Yeah, I could probably do that. So it's kind of like that with programming. It's like you start to see the patterns and all the different, when you work with different languages over your time period, you start to see the patterns, and it's like, okay, they do this way, even though it's the same thing, they just do it a different way, or this is the same thing that I saw in this language, but I didn't see it in that language. So you start to piece it all in, because everything kind of derives from everything else, or everything is a child from something else, right? And so it's the same thing I would hope in music, where it's like, oh, I heard this chord in this genre, I heard that chord in that genre, or they play that chord slightly different. And so I would say it's kind of like that. So as far as like the technical aspect of things, I'm not that nervous. I think one thing I am nervous about is, and not like I have like imposter syndrome, like,
because that's what I was basically leading to. Like do you feel like, wow, like, because the funny thing about it, on the surface, when you look at these companies' names, no matter what a company is, right? Like, I sure remember talking to my lady, and she's she went to school for nursing, like she got her credentials and everything and all that stuff. She got letters and things like that. But she would tell me, like, when she first started as a nurse, that she didn't feel like qualified enough because she was a young lady dealing with like grown adults. Yeah. And like the idea of like, I'm dealing with someone older and their life is kind of in my hands. This is not a startup company that like you're working for. Yeah. There's new, like, compared to the other companies that you worked for. You get what I'm saying? So in my opinion, on the outside looking in, you can correct me, with a startup company, nobody really knows what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? In the sense of like, you're building and stuff like that. So like, it's a lot of moving parts. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yes, besides something that been going on, it's a known company, and they have a way of doing things, and
they attract some of the smartest people.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, basically, I guess the short way to ask that question, do you feel some type of imposter syndrome because you're not the man here? You get what I'm saying? Compared to being the man there.
I always enjoy that though.
Okay.
Like, I don't like being the smartest person in the room.
That makes sense.
Like I don't like feeling like, oh, I have to carry everybody, or I'm not learning or growing because I have to support everybody. Like, I like feeling like, oh, what can I learn from you? What can I learn from you? What can I learn from you? Like, I'm not. I mean, even with debating, I'm not going to debate somebody on a subject that I know more about than they do. Like, it's just like you don't debate me in sports.
I don't even want to talk to you about sports.
Exactly, because it's not. So it's the kind of the same thing. Like, if I feel like I know more than, or I feel like I'm not growing, I want to leave. And so it's more exciting than imposter. Like, I it's weird because I still have the same like premise. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm not as smart as these people. But hey, I'm here. and the thing is, like, I'm trying to get as smart as these people. So that's the hope, right? Yeah, I mean, and it's something that I enjoy, right? If it was something else that I did enjoy, like if it was like, I don't know, banking or investment, financial stuff, I'd be like, okay, I got all these, smart financial people talking about all these numbers. I'm not gonna survive here. Yeah, because I'm not gonna go home and do the work to get better. Like I'm just not. So I think that's the other issue.
That's also the beautiful thing about that's the beautiful thing about a new job. I actually remember when I first got my current job and things like that. You felt the most courageous you probably ever felt, and you haven't worked a day. You're like, I can see myself being a manager here. I can see myself not CEO. I definitely don't want to be CEO of the current job that I got now. But you're like, I can see myself being
growth,
a big part in this company and things like that. And then a year go by, 3 years go by, and even for you said you felt like you was hitting the ceiling, and then of course you're not gonna burn no bridges, but at the same time, you would be like, I'm just gonna let you know, like I just felt like I wasn't progressing, to like the level that that I felt like my work was that my work would let me, and things like that. So like that's why I'm like, this is probably the most exciting. I'm gonna check in with you like a year later and be like, yo, like how do you like being, instead of a big part in a big fish in a small pond, you're now like
a small fish.
You're like part of the stream now. You get what I'm saying? Like you part of the river and things like that. You part of the crew. You know what I mean? And that's, I don't know. I guess there's security in that at the same time.
Yeah, a school of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, you said what?
Like a school of fish. Like there's a bunch of us.
Yeah, it's like
Like nobody's gonna mess up. Yeah, I guess so. Like you could be in a small gang, and like a small, you could be in a gang in a small city, but it's only like 10 of y'all, and maybe y'all got a name for yourself, or you could be a big gang in a big city, and people know your gang, but they might not know you. But when they see your colors, it's like, oh, okay, all right, my guy.
Now at the same time, we're not promoting
any
gang violence.
Hey man. Yo, hey man, no, I'm not. I need to stop joking about violence. Actually, it's not because God. Hey, people get canceled for everything.
Listen here,
and I'm like, hey,
I don't know.
I just be joking.
Listen here, I see some things. I think people are getting canceled for cancelable, like real things.
That's true.
I don't think people get canceled for jokes anymore as much, unless the jokes is like rooted in hatred and like like for example, there's I don't want to talk about it in detail.
Okay,
but
let's not.
But like you know who I'm talking about, right?
Man with the raccoon eyes.
Yeah, I was like, yo. At first I thought it was a hit piece because he said something about the biggest pop star in the world. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? I didn't even watch the whole video.
I didn't even find it.
I ain't watched it because I saw it when it first came out. So like I watched like probably like I watched to the part where he started getting weird. And I was like, why? Like sometimes you just have to ask yourself like, what's the payoff from this? And that kind of leads me to my point. People are sick, bro. People are sick. Like, and when I say sick, I mean like they need medicine, bro. Like people are sick.
Hey man, I don't understand these comedians. Hey, I don't understand how comedians be just. Hey, I don't get it. And but people found it funny because people still mess with both of them.
I don't think not anymore though. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew that video existed before it popped up everywhere, and they still bang with them people.
Well, you know how people got to play coy in front of everybody. People got like, oh my goodness, how could you?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm looking at you like, whoa, like I'm like, yo, dude. Like I'll probably be like, do we have to do this? Like where would this lead us? What's the payoff?
I ain't getting
Like that's basically what I had to say. Like it just can't be to make people laugh. That's not enough for me. That's not enough. It gotta be like we gave you about this much amount of money and this much amount of power or something like that.
The whole thing was weird. Even with the little part was weird.
Yeah.
Yo asked said, yo, how you like her music? She's talented.
Why?
Where you going?
I don't know what's going on with that. Is there anything else you want to share? This is a great episode. Something quick and something because we actually had another episode totally planned, and this episode probably will actually lead into the next episode of what we actually had planned and things like that. How everybody, acting weird on that part of the country. You know what I mean? But is there anything else you want to share, or any advice you want to give? Anything you learned about going to that collective coding thing you went to in DC about networking or anything like that? Like, you are a testament. I know this sounds like church, but you are a testament that networking really works.
No, I think it's one of those things that is weird because it's not like I made connections.
Yeah.
But even the way certain people present themselves, I was like, oh, I need to work on those soft skills.
Okay, such as what?
Being able to concisely, I guess, convey your thoughts in a very confident way is something that I still can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, because you don't really see a lot of black people in the tech industry, so you don't really see a lot of black people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, he can talk like that. Oh, he can talk like that. Oh, he only been here for 2 years.
Now, question: when you say talk like that, are you talking code switching, or are you talking?
It's not quite code switching, but it's like being able to like command a room.
Okay.
Like I don't know how to explain it, but be able to command a room and say what you mean without rambling or having to say like a lot or and like just being able to like just go to the point, convey your thoughts, explain what you need to explain, and then move out, and everybody understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you do have people, and I'm kind of in that spectrum where people would just talk. You're good at like conveying your thoughts and just getting to the point. But you have people that just talk, and you're like, what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is he trying to go with? And so even just being in those spaces, you see where you lack and what you need to work on, even with the soft skills, because really it's the soft skills that kind of propel you higher, and not quite the hard skills.
No, that's lit. And last but not least, my last question: are you happy?
I am.
Really?
And something that I kind of want to talk about, actually. So my therapist, she started talking about termination.
Termination in the sense of what, like?
Finished therapy.
Really?
But that's for the next episode.
I was like, termination, you kind of scared for a minute. I'm thinking, because, usually.
She's like, hey, I think you're pretty good. We did a lot this year. I was like, wait.
Oh my goodness, anxiety.
It's like, oh, we done? I didn't know that was a thing.
Nah, man. If y'all have anything else y'all want to share, put it in the comments. Put a congratulations. And if you find out what company he works at, cool. Keep it to yourself. But I'm happy for you. I really am, because I think I'm more happier now because you told me on the spot. But I think I would have been happier if you told me on the phone. But I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a lit.
Cause I ain't gonna hold you.
Let this do on the episode.
Dude, you know what's lit about it too? It's like at the end of the year. It's like, it's like you kind of capping the year off, capping your fourth quarter, or starting the fourth quarter rather. Like, I'm on a high and things like that, and it doesn't disrupt any other plans you already got set and things like that. Right. Like it's lit. If anything, you have more resources to do the things you want to do anyway with this new opportunity. So
yeah, appreciate it, man.
But y'all be good, man. Blessings.